Welcome to Inclusive Gathering Birmingham. My name's Danielle and my pronouns are she, her. If you've never been with us before, we're an inclusive and affirming church that is generally based in the middle of Birmingham City Centre, although we've been online this last year. We really care about this idea of being a learning community together, which means we recognize that we're folks from all sorts of different backgrounds and races, classes, sexuality, gender. We've got a lot of diversity going on, and that's a wonderful thing. And we believe that's a way that we can learn and grow together as a community, and also grow in our understanding of what God is like through knowing one another. So whether you're gay or straight, whatever your gender identity, whatever your race or ethnicity, your class, your theology, whether you believe in God or not, we want to just invite you to be here with us as you are. You don't need to pretend to be something that you're not. And it's okay if we don't all agree with everything all the time. We want to create a safe space where we can know one another, we can get things wrong, and we can find forgiveness and grace with one another. So this week, we remember it's been 1 year since the murder of George Floyd in the US, which started off a whole year of protest and I feel like a change in consciousness in a profound way. And I think it's been a remarkable year in a lot of ways, but that the Black Lives Matter protests have been really significant in bringing anti-racism as a concept to the fore. And I think as a community, this is something that we're really wanting to delve in deeper in our understanding and our ability to love people and to learn how to love and address racism both in institutions, in ourselves, in the world around us. So today, about every once a month, we have something that we call our book and podcast club, where we theme our service around a book. And today, we're looking at a book called Ghost Ship, which is about institutional racism in the church, and it's written by Azariah France-William. So in a little while, we're going to be hearing a little clip from the book, and also some of Azariah talking about why he wrote what he wrote. So just to start the service off, kind of keeping in this theme, we're going to share a song now from Common Hymnal.
There's a sickness here that threatens to divide us, and we're all afraid to say its name out loud. Lord, I know that you can heal us of this virus, so we need you right now. And there's a darkness here that's dangerous and aggressive. It's getting harder every day to shake its power. Lord, I know that you can free us from oppression, so we need you right now. 'Cause we don't know what to do, so we turn our eyes to you, and we've run out of words to say. You can come and have your way. You can save us from ourselves before our wounds hurt someone else. We need you now. Hey, we need you now. What does it mean to have compassion for another? How can I claim to love a God that I can't see if I can't find a will to harm and kill my brother? 'Cause he neglected to look like me, and I can speak the words of men and songs of angels. I can give all my possessions to the poor, but if your love can't move the mountain of my hatred, Somehow I missed you, and I need you so much more, 'cause we don't know what to do. So I turn my eyes to you, and I've run out of words to say. But if you come and have your way, so won't you save me from myself before my wounds hurt someone else. I need you now. We need you now, 'cause we don't know what to do, Lord. So we turn our eyes to you, and we've run out of words to say. You can come and have your way. Would you save us from ourselves before our wounds hurt someone else? We need you. Take us in your hand. Need you now. We need you now. We need you now, Lord. We need you now. We need you now. Can't make it without you, Jesus. We need you now. We need you now. 'Cause if you don't heal us, God will never be healed. If you don't deliver us, we'll never be free. Lord, if you don't change us, we'll never be better. And we need you right now.
Every week when we're together, we share a question that gets us talking, that gets us thinking and sharing about ourselves. And if we're in person, we lean over and we talk to the person next to us and share a story. On Facebook Live, we also share in the comments, so feel free to do that. Here's the question for today. What is one blessing or challenge you've experienced as a result of getting to know someone who's had a different life experience from you? That difference could be culture, race, background, education, sexuality, gender, or worldview. So I'm going to answer this question today, and some of you might have heard my answer about this before. But one of the big defining moments of my life was my friends coming out to me and spending time in the lesbian music community, and being really welcomed into that as someone who's not a lesbian. And as a Christian, that was a huge challenge in to me, to how I, was taught to see the world and love other people and listen. And I learned so much about God and about myself through my friends being really open with me about their lives and letting me kind of walk through that with them. And that's been a completely life transforming experience, because it's opened me up to so many other different ways of seeing the world and recognizing the beauty and the diversity of God's creation and in different ways. We're going to share a prayer now by Jonathan Wilson Hartgrove, which is called Gospel Reconstruction, a lament for slaveholder religion and the ongoing racism that infects us. If you're a person who prays and these words mean something to you, you can pray them along with us. Otherwise, you might want to just let them listen and let them wash over you.
Jesus, we confess that we have inherited a faith that was used to justify the theft of land and the enslavement of black bodies. From this, our original sin, we ask for deliverance. Forgive us for where we have failed to understand, Lord, and in your mercy, set us free. Touch hearts that have been shriveled by generations of suppressed empathy, and eyes that have lost the ability to see siblings who suffer from systemic injustice. Forgive us where we have failed to understand, Lord, and in your mercy, set us free.
Grant us courage to renounce the false teaching, that we can somehow know you without being committed to justice for all people. Forgive us for where we have failed to understand, Lord, and in your mercy, set us free. In your mercy, help us mourn the divisions among the body of Christ and work for its healing in the places where we gather to worship you. Forgive us for where we have failed to understand, Lord, and in your mercy, set us free.
Embolden us to resist the political forces that idolize a past when white men were in charge. Forgive us for where we have failed to understand, Lord, and in your forgiveness, set us free. As we name and unlearn the habits of slaveholder religion, give us grace to draw deeply from the witness of the movements that have always resisted injustice in the power of your Spirit. Forgive us for where we have failed to understand, Lord, and in your mercy, set us free.
The Hebrew scriptures tell the story of the first murder and the introduction of physical violence into the world. One man called Cain kills his brother Abel. The passage reads like this. Now Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let's go out to the field." While they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" "I don't know," he replied. "Am I my brother's keeper?" The Lord said, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are under a curse and driven from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand." If the notion of the ground having a mouth to receive the slain is not horrifying enough, that the spilled blood is able to vocalize its victimhood and name the perpetrator should make every would-be murderer shudder. Metaphorically, the transatlantic slave trade elevated one brother, Cain the white, over his brother Abel, the one of color. When God says to Cain, "Where is your brother?" he shrugs his shoulders and says, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" When talk of reparation comes up, if it comes up at all, do white senior clergy have any sense of how to answer the question God is asking? And if God isn't asking it, then God's own people are asking it. Cain, where is your brother? I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper? Maybe yes, maybe no. But if we are not fighting injustice, we are complicit with our brothers and sisters' deaths, social, spiritual, and societal. With mass incarceration, stop and search, hurdle after hurdle to get access to education, opportunities in the job market, and decent housing, and a woefully low access to its own church leadership. The roar of blood is crying out. No wonder Black mental health is among the worst of all groups in British society. No wonder Black people feel the least welcome in communities. No wonder they get heavier sentences. We are able
What could be the historical roots for this dread that I felt? In the days of slavery, there was an understanding of slavery as social death. M. Sean Copeland documents the legal standing in parts of America where slaves were not allowed to speak against a white person in court. They were not allowed to defend themselves when attacked. I discussed this book with my publisher, stating what a poor employer the Church of England was to many people of colour. They requested I found evidence to show that this wasn't only my own story. I tried, but found and again, people would say the following: let me tell you this thing that happened to me, but don't put it in the book. Or they'd say, this is for your ears only. Eventually, I crafted a survey and offered anonymity, and the truth and pain flooded into my inbox. And this was the tip of the iceberg. There are others whose pain sits on paperwork in courtrooms or is discussed in closed boards and committees. Sometimes years drag by as they seek justice but have to protect the predators. Anthony Reddy documents, due to the effects of racialized oppression and marginalization, many Black people may be suspicious or even reluctant to talk in depth about their personal stories or experiences. This reluctance is exacerbated if the person seeking to initiate the conversation is white. I went on retreat, and whilst I was surprised to see quite a senior clergy person, and we were both on retreat together, and so the retreat acted as a kind of a demilitarized zone. You know, there was no rank there, and so we sat down to have breakfast together, and I was there on retreat doing some writing actually, so I began to talk about what I was doing, and he spoke about a Black colleague that he had, and another senior person saying, you know, whenever they're not there, race isn't on the agenda. I said, so why is that? I said, well, yeah, when they're not there, we don't think, the rest of us who are white don't think about being white. And he said, you know what? He said, they get pulled in a lot to talk about race, and I think it's really detracting from their role. So I said, well, if you took more time to speak about being white in places, that person wouldn't need to go around as much and talk about being Black in places.
Yes.
So I think there is, there is a role there, and sometimes people can see what's happening. Since I've written my book, one of the unexpected responses is a number of white friends and old colleagues contacting me and saying, I'm really sorry, I was in a particular context and I could see that there was some racial prejudice at play and I didn't say anything, and I'm really sorry, please forgive me. And, you know, it's fascinating that people do see or detect when things happen. And so there's a pastoral role, but there's also a prophetic role, which is to speak up and to speak out. One of the people on this Zoom, I'm going to embarrass a little bit, possibly, and it's someone called Canon Eve Pitts, who is in the room. Another person from Birmingham. There's a lot of good things coming out of Birmingham. And she appears. And she appears in this book. I do an interview with her, so if you want to know more, you'll have to buy the book and find out. But one of the things that she said to me was, make sure that you're connected to your community, you know? And so if you're a person of colour, make sure that you've got people around you. Otherwise, you can feel quite exposed. You can feel, you know, that... so, for example, just a couple of days ago, a white colleague said, would you come along to a book group and talk about your book? Which I'm not talking just theory, this is my personal experiences. So I said, yes, but can I bring a friend or two with me?
Yes,
you know, and so it's important to make yourself safe if you're going to be sharing things of a personal nature. If you get to engage with the ideas in the book, you'll see that whilst I'm hopeful for individuals and those to change, for the institution, I'm challenging whether it can change itself without outside help. And I think, you know, so one of the things that can happen is people can say, well, if we have more clergy of colour in senior positions, well, that might fix it. But what I argue is actually the structure, as in the question was phrased, is so harmful to people that you just have more people who are suffering. And another thing that can happen is someone, for a quick win, the church might give someone extra responsibility and say, okay, you're a black, a brown vicar over here. You come and talk about racial justice, or you create this this pack or whatever, but there are no extra resources given for that to actually be carried out. And so therefore, this person now who already has a full load has a much bigger thing to deal with, and they're not able to succeed at any of the things. But because of their commitment to the cause, you know, and they're wanting to help, actually they get landed with something, and the senior person involved, they get the plaudits of having put someone in place to cover something. But if the resources aren't there, it's not going to help. Often we're also asked to be part of the presentation of a thing, but not the production of those things. And so that all needs to be rooted out. I'm not sure the church can do it on its own.
I think systematically, I think the church has been doing just that, what you've just described. They'll pull out a few people of color and put them in these positions where they are being set up for a fall, like I've just said, where there are no resources to uphold this big responsibility, where they're expected to do these wonders for the church to change. But it's not their responsibility as individuals. It's our responsibility together. If we're going to have any systemic change, it has to be top, bottom, and bottom up. All of us together. Where is the solidarity from my sisters and brothers who are not people of color? So this is why I'm saying it's our responsibility together. Where do we take this forward? Embed it in our mission, embed it in our ministry, embed it in our preaching, embed it in our teaching. Everything that we do has to be social justice. What does Luke say? What have I come to do? What does Jesus say to all of us? What have I come to do? We know that. So I think it's all up to all of us, not just certain people or certain groups, or expect our leadership, or expect the president of conference, or expect a certain committee to do it. It's all our responsibility. This is what we preach every day.
Yeah. Something else that's come out of Birmingham is the chap called Robert Beckford, and I was in recent contact with him, and he said to me, "I'm going to read something." So I asked if I could share this. He said, as long as I credit him. So he said, "I've got a plan of action to move people on. 3 or 5 points for radical change." I can almost imagine him saying these things. Revolutionize theological education. Mandatory anti-racism training.
Yes.
A moratorium on public school leadership appointments. Ouch. Diversify every major committee. And then number 5, free ackee and saltfish at every service. And number 5 is a fun one, but also it's a serious one in terms of what food do you eat when you go to church services and meetings? It all says monoculture. And so there you go. That's Robert Beckford's top 5. Even in a conversation like this, there can be a sense of vulnerability. And so to flick through the gallery and see some darker faces, that can actually just add, it can give you a bit of extra strength and a bit of extra courage. If I was to ask you, tell me what you talk to your therapist about, tell me if there's a member of your family in prison and why are they there? Tell me about the sibling you haven't spoken to in years and what was the source of that? It's so personal, it's exhausting. And so having somebody else alongside just gives that extra courage. And so for me, it's been great to have Faraya here this evening, because that's just given me a real sense of extra boost and courage. So I'd like to pass on to my sister.
There's an idiom in our language that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Go together.
Yes. So we'll go far if we go together. But if you want to go fast, run. Sprint. That's okay. But I'm glad that we've done this together. And I'm glad that we're doing this together as disciples of Christ. All of us across denominations, Thank you.
Oh God, you search me and you know me. All my thoughts lie open to your gaze. When I walk or lie down, you are before me. Ever the maker and keeper of my days. You know my resting and my rising. You discern my purpose from afar, and with love everlasting you beseech me. In every moment of life and death you are. Before a word is on my tongue, Lord, you have known its meaning through and through. You are with me beyond my understanding, God of my present, my past and future too. Although your spirit is upon me, still I search for shelter from your light. There is nowhere on earth I can escape you. Even the darkness is radiant in your sight. For you created me and shaped me, gave me life within my mother's womb. For the wonder of who I am, I praise you. Safe in your hands, all creation is made new.
I'd love to just hear from Farai, her reflections on this year, and particularly how these events have impacted us as people in the UK and the church, and where do you see the progress, and where do you see the lack of progress, I guess is the question.
I found that as church, we are now being able to speak up. We are now being able to actually name things for what they are. I think we've gone beyond the niceness that we normally use, which is not kindness. I think we've moved away from the politeness, which is not compassion, and name things for what they are. And in a sense, I think that has moved us forward. I think the acknowledgement of the existence of inequality across society is now being acknowledged more than it was before. And I think that is a step forward. Because for me, what has been stopping progress in the past has been the denial of any wrongdoing on the part of the church. Yet, as Methodist Church, from which that's my tradition, there has been acknowledgement of that the church has been institutionally racist. The church has not done what it is meant to be doing. Policies have been put in place, but the actual practice has not been fine-tuned so that it can be used at local level. And that, for me, has been the struggle. At the same time, I don't think that locally, as individual congregations, we understand racism the same way the institution understand its own identity and its own acceptance of racism. So I think in the last year, there's been a lot of engagement with at local level and at district level. There's been a lot of questions and conversations, and people are now feeling stronger and bolder to ask the difficult questions, even if it's to say, I don't know. I need to know. I need to educate. I need an education. I need to educate myself. As a leader, I found this time really challenging, because in as much as there was boldness to speak about racism and inequality, there's also been pushbacks and resistance and issues being personalized rather than face them for what they are, that this is systemic. It is something that is embedded in the way we live as society. It's embedded in our ways, in our habits, in our culture. So it will take more than an individual to speak truth to power. It will take more than one church, more than one congregation. It will take more than one district. All of us together can find a way forward. However, it's been hard.
Yeah.
But I find also that there's been a lot of hope. One thing I found quite profound in the last summer was the way young people were more engaged than older people. For me, the young people get it. And they're enthusiastic. They want to learn. They acknowledge. Therefore, they can confront. We saw it in the climate justice demonstrations. We saw it with the young women. We saw it on every level of society. The young people have been at the forefront of, I don't want to say resistance because it will sound like violent, but at the forefront of protest. To say that we need to change the way we think, especially. We need to change the way we act. We need to change the way we make decisions. We need to change the way we are and be more like Christ as disciples. So the last year has been hopeful for me, and the historic event that happened on the 17th of April, dismantling whiteness.
Oh, yeah.
For me, that was historic in the sense that very difficult conversations were had by most people that I know matter and can instigate change and have it in their power to instigate some sort of change, and acknowledging and naming things for what they were in a way that is loving, in a way that is compassionate, in a way that is inclusive, in a way that is loving and not disparaging of the other or marginalizing the other or even humiliating the other. So for me, those are signs of hope.
That's really profound. And I think for me as a white Christian leader, like reflecting on the past year and what I've learned, and you've been part of my learning and my journey too around this, is like sometimes it is uncomfortable to kind of push through and talk about it. And I think hopefully that's what we've been trying to do in Inclusive Gathering, is just make these things more normal, to talk about our experience of it, to talk about when we get things wrong, because we do sometimes, and we learn from it. And I think that's, I've seen this concept of anti-racism as a really freeing thing, that it's not, I live and breathe in the culture that has been founded in racism in a lot of ways, and so I can resist that without denying the fact that that's been part of the world that I live in. And I guess we're learning how to have some bolder ways of doing that and talking about it and making that normal. And I guess, institutions are made up of people at the end of the day. Churches are made up of people. So it's that combination of the systemic change, but also the change that goes on within us,
As a community of believers, what we have to do is to resist what political establishment normally does. It divides people. and we must resist being divided and resist being told what we know is not true. I just think that it's important for us to know that we belong together. And because we belong together, we can speak together. But I think we've now gone beyond the point of speaking. I think it's a time for us now to find ways of actually acting out the gospel rather than talking about it.
Thanks, Farai. This has been really, it's just always good to talk to you. And thanks for sharing some of those reflections with us. And as we keep going on this journey.
Thank you.
If faith can move the mountains like you said it could, how can we keep walking up these hills again? If love can break the chains like you said it could, how come so many people are still enslaved? Where did all the power go and the promises you've made? Have we walked from the cross and the grave? 'Cause we've seen you and we've heard you and we know that you are able. So Jesus, would you teach us once again? 'Cause we are heartbroken, we are heartbroken. Our silence has been our shame. We are heartbroken, we are heartbroken. Justice is crying out again. So we say their names. We say their names. If hope can change the world like you said it could, how come yet another life is lost ahead? If grace can heal our hearts like you said it could, how come so many people are still in pain? Where did all the power go and the promises you've made? How we walked from the cross and the grave? 'Cause we've seen you and we've heard you and we know that you are able. So Jesus, would you teach us once again? 'Cause we are heartbroken, we are heartbroken. Our silence has been our shame. And we are heartbroken, we are heartbroken. Justice is crying out again. So we say their names. We say their names.
Hi, I'm standing in front of the church at Cars Lane, and since it's been a while since any of us have been in the building, I thought it might be a good idea to do a little refresher of what to expect, or to introduce you to it if you haven't been here before. So if you can see, this is the front of the building, and across the street from us is the Bull Ring and Moore Street Station. And so if you're going to come in with me now, this is the front door, and when you arrive, there'll be greeters here on the door. I'm going to have to let myself in though. And you'll walk in, and you'll find a sanitation station here where you can clean your hands, and there'll be greeters right at this point where they will show you into the main room, which is over here. If you're needing to park because you have a accessibility need, you can let us know ahead of time via Eventbrite, and we'll show you the way that you'll get in if that's you. So this is the back entrance to the church at Cars Lane, and as you can see, here's the door. And if you were to arrive here, there'll be someone waiting for you at the top of the stairs. We have very limited parking back here, but we do keep that available for people that really need it. Now you'll see, if you have trouble with stairs, the best thing to do is to come with me and walk around to the front of the building to where I was before. This is where the toilets are. As you can see, they're accessible loos, and they're cleaned regularly, and there's a cleaning regimen. So everything is really, really safe. So when you walk in, the stewards will tell you exactly what to do, where to sign in, and where to sit. And they'll lead you all the way into the building, into the main room. They'll lead you to your seats, and you'll stay seated throughout the whole time that you're with us, and then be escorted out again. So please do arrive at 3:45 if you're planning to join us in person, and we'll plan for a 4 o'clock start. Like I said, it'd be great for you to book in ahead of time so that we know that we have enough room for you. And but if you do show up and you haven't booked, we might be able to accommodate you, but try not to take a chance on that. Everyone is being asked to wear masks unless they're one of the folks that are exempt from doing so. That's not a problem at all. Some of you might choose to wear the sunflower lanyard just to let people know that you're exempt from wearing a mask, but you don't have to do that either. Our stewards will be on the door, and they'll help you find whatever you need, and they'll be wearing these fancy masks with a little clear thing at the front so that you can see their mouths moving. We're not able to provide drinks and snacks, unfortunately, so if you'd like to bring your own, feel free to do so. Particularly a drink might be nice. Sorry about that. We're also providing some craft kit bags for anybody who might want to color or scribble during the time, and you'll be able to pick up those as you go in. So thanks for joining us today. If you'd like to continue the discussion, you can join us on Zoom at 5:15. David's going to be leading a discussion about Ghost Ship. And if you'd rather just not talk about something heavy tonight, we also will have a breakout group for those who want to just have more of a casual chat. As you gather, next week is the week when we do our first hybrid gathering. So some of us will be online and some of us will be in person. We just want to reiterate, please don't feel any pressure to join us if you're not ready to do that yet. We recognize everybody's at different stages of things, and we'll continue to learn and grow in how we do stuff. So please do whatever makes you feel comfortable, and if you'd like to come along in person, join us please sign up via Eventbrite. If you're a regular part of our gathering, one of the ways you might want to kind of demonstrate support for the community is making a financial gift. So our website is www.inclusivegathering.org.uk/give, and there's a few different opportunities to give there, both kind of one-off and also standing orders. There's no pressure to give, but it's one of those things that can help us to do some more stuff, to do some cool things. And one of the things that funds are paying for at the moment is our upgrade of our IT equipment, our video stuff, so that we can live stream next week, which is quite exciting. So please do give if you can, and thank you so much to those of you who already support us. So I think that's all for this week. Lots of talking. I'm just going to finish with the blessing that we share every week wherever we are. May we live fully, may we love wastefully, and may we have the courage to be all that God has created us to be. We'll see you on Zoom.